Greetings, Iain from RTO here, and welcome to dark and gloomy Northampton. Lights are on because if we hadn't got the light on, we'd be sitting here in the dark, although it is 9 o'clock in the morning. Yes. Anyway, things are working today after yesterday's hiccup, so that's a good sign. So today we've got a very short album ranking for you. I know one or two people have asked for this, and it is Tubeway Army. Before people put, when are you going to do Gary Numan? I am working on listening through Gary Numan's catalogue as we speak. So expect the Gary Numan solo albums sometime later this year. So Tubeway Army, a London-based new wave band led by Gary Numan, of course. It was formed at the height of punk rock in 1977, and the band gradually changed to electronic sound. They were the first band to use synthesizers, and in 1979 they sort of dropped the name, and Gary opted to keep his Gary Numan, but he used the same band. I don't know why, but it's basically lot of the Gary Numan solo albums could have been Tubeway Army. So they've only made two under the banner of Tubeway Army. Both very good albums. Pioneering albums, pretty good thing. It's very hard to choose because they're both different sort of things. So this is how I've gone with it. As far as I'm concerned, they're just really good albums. So coming in at number 2 is the debut album Tubeway Army that was released in 1978. I mean, initially was a limited edition of 5,000 runs, known as unofficially as the Blue Album due to its colour vinyl. Didn't chart, but when it was reissued again, following the success of the next album, did a little bit better. So musicians on here are Gary Numan, guitars, lead vocals and keyboards, Paul Gardiner, or bass and backing vocals, and Jess Lydiard on the drums. First track is a track called Listen to the Sirens. Now this starts off great. It's got a great bass line to it. It's very post-punk, and then you get this sort of keyboard synthesizer sound on it. It is really, really good. This next track is one of my favourite tracks. It's called Shadow in My Vein. Some great guitar work here from Gary Numan. Great bass line again. It's just an incredible vocal as well. Very pioneering for 1978. Absolutely solid track. Then we get the Live Machine. This just shows what Gary would actually, which route he would take. This is a distinctive sound on the keyboard, a great bass line. It's a terrific little song. Then we get Friends, and then another really strong track. Love the riffs in this. Some good guitar work on that one. Something's in My House. It's okay, probably one of the weaker tracks on the album, but it's still a really good listen. Then we get one of my other favourite tracks on here, Every Day I Die. Reminds me a little bit of what would become with the track Cars. It's got that sort of hint to it. So I consider this like to be Cars' as its little brother, or the older brother. It's a really good little track. Steel and You. This is interesting. It's got great little guitar riffs in it, quite good. My Love Is a Liquid. Experimental stuff with synthesizers. It's a little bit coherent and none going on, but it's a bit of a stoppy start track. But you can see where the experimentation was going. Are You Real? Great rock here, proper post-punk. This is awesome stuff. The Dream Police, yeah, one of the uneventful tracks on the album. Then we get Joe the Waiter. Again, this track has got that Gary Newman sound, but this has got, it's minus the synthesizer sounds. You've got all the other sounds that you associate with Gary Newman. It's really good. And the last track is called 0 Bars, in brackets, Mr. Smith. Good arrangement this is. Got little bits of guitars and synthesizers. Really strong track. I think this is a really good album. It's sometimes overshadowed by Replicas. I mean, this album's got a lot of post-punk sound to it as well. But the synthesizer was a unique sort of sound, and I really do like this album. I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, so number 1, it is the second and final album as Tubeway Army, and it is Replicas, which was released in 1979. Same people on here: Gary Newman, Paul Gardiner and Jess Linyard. First track on here is Me, I Disconnect From You. Still got a lot of that post-punk guitar on it, but there's more synthesizer creeping in. It actually adds to the track, and it's absolutely brilliant. Then of course we get the classic Our Friends Electric. What a song this is. I remember the first time I heard this and it blew me away. Still remains one of my favourite songs by Gary Newman, Tubeway Army. I just think it's brilliant. Great vocal. Yes, it's a song about electric prostitutes. Firm favourite of mine. The Matchman. Again, this is post-punk go on another dimension. The synthesizers really add to this, gives it extra depth. It's a strong track. Praying for the Aliens. Now this is for 1979. This sounds totally different, and a lot of bands would go down this route. You know, Visage and Ultravox were doing it at this sort of time as well. So yeah, it's a really good track, and it is, I think, a pioneering track for this genre. Down in the Park, so atmospheric. The synthesizer sounds good. Great vocal from Gary. He's a really good singer. And then we get You Are In My Vision. They still hadn't lost their post-punk roots at all, and this is a great guitar track, brilliant. Then we get Replicas, some interesting arrangements on this, quite unique, solid track. Then we get It Must Have Been Years. The bass line on this is absolutely terrific, from Jess, absolutely belting, and that mixture of traditional bass, and then you got the synthesizers. Great stuff. Then we get When the Machines Rock, a great combination here of that bass line and quirky synth. Really works well on this track. And then the last track, I Nearly Married a Human. Love this track as well. Love the synthesizers on this. First time I really heard, we heard drum machines. Great melody. Great way to end the album. This album, when it came out, I mean, I remember this coming out. We'd not heard anything like this. That keyboard sound, what would become synthesizers, was something unique. I remember my mate buying this album, and we put it on, and God, this is good. And like a good friend he was, he actually put it on a cassette for me. So I've had this album a long time. I mean, I eventually did buy it because I had to. But just a terrific album, and it's an album I enjoyed to this very day. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. So there we go, the short career of Tubeway Army. But as I said at the top of the show, we will be doing a full ranking of the Gary Numan albums at some stage during 2023. Okay, I'll be back later for the first retro ranking of the year, and it is a Mike Oldfield special where we're going to look at some of the non-album songs that he put out that didn't get onto albums, B-sides and obscure singles. Got quite a few. I don't know if I've got them all, but these are the ones that I've actually got copies of and that I can find. So looking forward to that one. So bye for now.